one of them had a lot of travel. It was very international and so on. And really Google, bringing Google into Kenya, into Africa was something very unique, something you can write about. So I opted to join Google, which, I then started asking, like I'd been asking during the interview, so what is the strategy, what is the plan? Again, they say, no, you tell us what you want and so on. My induction was in Mountain View, California, and I arrived there, and I think by the 4th hour, people like Chris, who you see there, he was working for Google at our headquarters. He had already pinged me, and as my calendar was beginning to get full, as people just set up meetings, it became obvious it was a very busy place. My manager, or my boss and I would actually get on bikes to go to a meeting. This was something just very unique. I used to wear suits and tie, so that was something you couldn't do when you have your bikes and so on. So a lot changed. And since then, he came back. Chris was very supportive. He came and we worked together here in Nairobi and started building a team, building sort of the strategies and the plans. As we see it right now, we have offices in 7 countries right now in Africa. We have Egypt, we have Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa. We've actually just hired so many new people. I'm feeling very free. Now we have a new country manager for Kenya, who will hopefully be meeting soon, and a few other people, which is just making the activities within Google very, very, very exciting. I thought really I might just spend about 2 years setting up Google, and then I can go back to that business. I think, in fact, I was discussing with Chris the other day, because I'm coming to 4 years now, and you're saying, well, what happened, things just moved so fast, and there's so much to do, there's so much opportunity. Things like the iHub didn't even exist at the time. I mean, look at what's going on, look at the way we're able to collaborate and work together. So a lot has changed in the industry, and this is not only here in Kenya, it's happening across Africa. Opportunities that just came from Nigeria, that's another place that's buzzing. So is Ghana, so is South Africa, Rwanda. You saw Museveni on YouTube, and a few other presidents are coming on YouTube. Not only the guys in North Africa, Mubarak and others. The internet is actually changing things. So we are at a precipice where things are beginning to change. So it's a tipping point, a very exciting time, and I'm very, very excited to be at Google, to be in the industry, and I think this is the great time. So that's a small, quick summary of me. I think it's long.
I think Joe has really told us about his journey in the business world. And you had to go through 17 interviews.
That was only in the US.
Oh my God.
I had more here. So.
You had more here.
Yeah.
All right.
And in each of them, actually, I asked, so what's the thing that I should actually do? And I think about 90% of the people told me, you know what, just ask for forgiveness. Don't ask for permission. That was the standard thing that they were saying. So you come into an office and you're thinking, okay, so what should I be forgiven for? So you now start with a very clean page. It's very exciting.
Right. Before I open up the floor to questions, Joe, I have a few questions from you because you believe in strategy, you believe in picking the right players for Wananchi, and also what are your role models, the mentors you look up to when you're going through your journey? Can you answer those three?
So I think Steve Jobs was the guy I looked up to actually quite a lot. I loved Apple. I loved the technology. I loved the way they did a lot of things. They had this whole slogan of think different. And that actually encouraged me to do a lot of things because I felt this is somebody who hadn't even gone all the way in school and had managed to do all these great things. He even left Apple and came back and managed to change things. So he was the guy I looked up to. It was very hard to find local guys who had just built their businesses from the ground up here and were willing to publicly share information. So a lot of the people who you can see here were mainly politicians, and I wasn't interested in politics. Unfortunately, the guys I was looking out to were in the US and out there.
Right, okay. What kind of strategies did you use, like the perseverance in making sure like you captured the internet market, and what kind of strategies and role play did you use in the market in Kenya, since it was kind of very new in those days? So what kind of strategies did you use to keep on going there and making people believe in wananchi?
So first I had seen the power of the internet when I was in the UK, and I had seen how, you know, the quality of services, the kind of things you could actually do with it were great, but it was always more what the future holds. You know, I didn't think in my lifetime I would actually have 3G access in my pocket, you know, full internet. I could actually check emails and all that. I didn't think it would happen. Things were moving quite fast, but we wanted to make sure that with all the challenges we were having, I mean, Moi had said, you know what, all fax lines should be banned because people were sharing information. And I think surely sharing information is the most important thing, but it was obviously a threat at the time politically. And so I felt it was something that would change people's lives. It had changed my life. I had learned a lot of things just doing the web. I'd been able to build a career, afford my rent, and so on. So it's the passion of knowing it can make a difference in people's lives, and at the same time, it would be a business that makes sense. And then the reason we wanted to list was to make sure that everybody had a share of the business. Many corporate things came in later, and the business decided not to list because, again, disclosure and all these things that come in strategy. But the motivation and perseverance was that actually, as Africa, we could now take the destiny into our own hands, and we could start innovating, we could start developing things, and this was the technology of the future.
A few questions while you were at Google. Now, you went through 17 interviews while you were in the US, and you went through an induction when you were here. Let's say you went through a whole, what do you call it, a transfer process. Anyway, I'm just joking. What was going through your mind at that time? I mean, you were about to be hired by a multinational, as you say, and what was going through your mind when you were going through all these interviews? How were you answering your questions? How were you prepping yourself? I mean, because this is Google coming to hire you and set up the first office in Africa. So what was going through your mind? And even the other opportunities that came to you from telcos, really, how did you actually make your choice?
So I think the first thing is that I was confident in who I was, and I was confident at the time that I would actually be able to build my own business, and I did not actually at the time feel I needed to work for anyone. So it would have been a great chance actually to work for the telco because, I mean, they were growing very fast. They were just changing ways. So I was very excited about that opportunity. Google was exciting, but I was still trying to understand what is the plan, what is the strategy. You know, I go and read the financials of the company, $200 billion market cap. Then I go back and check the country's GDP, and I think, okay, something wrong, you know, just based on the size of this business. I really didn't think that the company was serious to that level. We had the interviews and so on, and until I actually got my offer letter for this job, I actually did not think the company was that serious. So I answered them frankly, I answered them without trying to actually get the job, but to tell them what I really thought. And somehow that seemed to be what they were looking for. Because I think they had also not only interviewed me, they interviewed, I think, all my friends, because they asked me, who are your friends? Who did you work with? Who was your chairman? Who was who? And they talked to all these guys. I mean, I was really investigated. In fact, I was worried they would now know too much about me and, you know, what exactly are they looking for. But I was very comfortable with myself, and I didn't feel that this is something I had to have. It was just an option. And when it came, I thought it was a great opportunity. And I really only learned what it really meant to work for Google and to be at Google after I joined Google. Because I think on my first day, there was a TED conference going on in Arusha. I think there was about, there's 1,000 people there, and 100 of them were billionaires in dollars. You know, people who came with their own jets and so on. And when I arrived at the event, I had the badge sponsor. Thinking, okay, because Google was sponsoring, and there I am, and all these guys are thinking I'm a sponsor. You know, with all these Cisco guys, it was very foreign. Let me tell you, companies hadn't come here that much, these multinationals. And any that came, they were coming in, they had a business and they were coming to say, here's a company coming with an open book and saying, look, what do you want us to actually do? We want to grow the number of internet users and usage. And you're thinking, wow, this is different.
Right. One more question. When you were in Google, 2007, you mentioned that conference in Arusha is going on. A lot of things are going through your mind too. How are you going to build like the strategy within the sub-Saharan region? What is going through your mind, like how you get your team together and work through strategy, and how you work with the team to actually ensure that we build the large base that Google wanted way back then, 4 years ago?
Yeah. So at the time I was hired as the East African lead. In fact, there was country managers, there was all these different titles, but they didn't have a title for somebody who was in to generate revenue or to do engineering, somebody who was to do both. Actually, it was called employment. So my role was East African at the time, and the first thing was actually just to understand Google. You check some of the rules. No employee should be more than 100 feet from a kitchen. I'm supposed to set up a kitchen in some of this because I was the only employee at the time. So you're looking at many different things and just trying to find out from the company, what do you guys really want? Because the company has so much money in terms of the way you see things. What do you want? And I think it took time to really understand first how the company is formed, the way it is structured, and meeting with the executives, the CEO, the founders, and just listening to their commitment to Africa, the fact that they want to do things differently. They don't want to be like the way everybody else came in. They want to come and make a serious difference. It set the bar very high, and then there's the hiring standards within the company. You have to work really hard to find the right people. But the first thing was really, what is our strategy? What is our plan? When you look at Africa, we have so many areas that we can try and work on to try and solve, just the access barriers alone to get into the internet. And until you've narrowed those down, it becomes hard to know what kind of talent you want. But I would say, we've already more than doubled our teams, and that number is still growing. Strategy is the first thing, and in most businesses, the one thing I did is spend a lot of time planning. And once you're so clear that this is the right plan, just execute blindly. Even if as you execute, things seem to be going wrong, maybe this is not, you know that you planned and you did all your analysis, and that's the thing you should do. Just go out and do it really hard. And that's what we've been doing, and we're beginning to see a lot of gains from that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there from Joe. Plan.